So just to kind of give myself more of a chance, I would take out what I already know to be a very aggressive deck, and that would be Blood.
All right, well, there it is. We'll see if that is the case. Akai versus Mensou kicks off right now. It looks like it's going to start off with Dragon versus Rune. Talk to me about the pace. How do you feel this match in particular is going to play out, Exo?
Sure. So Akai, not knowing what Rune is playing, looking a little bit like D-Shift. If he is playing D-Shift, I think that he has a massive edge in this matchup, because D-Shift naturally is just good against Dragon because of the pacing of the decks. Dragon is looking to get their game plan going after a while, and so is D-Shift. But G-Shift doesn't try to maintain board control and control the board, it tries to win the game at that point in the game. So I feel like Akai has a heads up here, but not a D-Shift. What are you thinking?
Well, what I'm thinking is he really wants a D-Shift right about now. this deck is definitely D-Shift, and he's looking like, you know, can I have a D-Shift, please? And this is not a great hand from Akai.
No, it is not. He's still looking for his combo pieces, has a lot of late game removal, which can be helpful against Dragon. Like those Fiery Embraces are going to come into play when those Bahamut's hit, if there's time, the Sibyls, that kind of thing. And perfect, D-Shift. right
yep,
when he
got the
needed
D-Shift.
Yeah, exactly. He's got the Levy here to go ahead and take care of the Rahab, so easy peasy. And these Wrath Drakes and Sibyls and all these things are going to look really fancy, but how much they're going to do against a D-Shift deck, I don't know.
Right. Well, I mean, here you just you can play your Sibyl. There's really no reason to do anything else here. And the next turn, of course, we'll be able to use Dragon Oracle to draw a card. But right now, he's just going to take out the damage on board. You know, try to keep his opponent a little suppressed. But I think by now he would have figured out that his opponent's on D-Shift. So he's got to start accelerating that clock a little bit.
Yeah, and Merlin was a perfect draw. With the Sibyl to evolve into means a full spell boost for everything in the hand. And there's not a single card in Akai's hand that does not benefit from that right now. So definitely picking up the pace from where he was at. Gets the Fate's Hand this turn also to keep pushing the game plan forward. And now all Akai's really looking for is endgame stuff, such as Flame Destroyers, Blade Mages, whatever his endgame of choice is, that's what he's in the hunt for right now.
Yep. Well, Akai also has plenty of removal for a good bit of cards in his hand. So, like, he can stall out pretty well. Oh, there's a Flame Destroyer. And what we failed to mention was that he did get another D-Shift off of the previous Merlin. So, he's set up pretty good here.
He is set up pretty well, yeah. And with having the removal, it really just buys him more turns, too. So usually D-Shift likes to go off around turns 7 through 9. But because of the double Fiery Embrace and the Wind Blast, and another Merlin even, to spell boost even further, he can really extend this game into turn 10 plus without a big problem. That Singleton Bahamut's not really going to be an issue. These Aiela's not really going to be an issue. So Mensou's going to have to draw something to put some damage on the board relatively quickly here. Otherwise, he's just going to lose the game outright.
Well, unless he's got some real, he just draws Running Storm cards. I don't see how he's gonna, you know, come out of this one, man. Like, Akai is playing cards. He's spell boosting. He's got a Merlin in play that's still alive. Of course, it'll die next turn. But, like, yeah, I just don't see what he can really do here.
No, this is just one of those matchups. We don't really see them much in the environment anymore, but this is like just a straight counter matchup where D-Shift, especially now that they're not running, or the Dragon decks aren't running Ouroboros to, well, never mind. They're maybe not running as many Ouroboros as they used to, and they're definitely not running Fortes anymore. They have to be a little bit more defensive because of the aggressive decks. It really hurts them against D-Shift because they don't have anything to punch through that early and consistent damage like they used to. Especially with like Forte and Erd combos that we've seen in seasons past.
Right. Well, I like Mensou's line of play here. He opted to do slightly less damage for bigger followers, and to maintain board. Because his alternative play would have been to do 3 damage with the Ouroboros and then, you know, I guess go face or whatnot. But no, he opted not to do that. He opted to just go for doing the damage that he could with the Evo. So he is out of Evos, though.
Yep, is out of Evos. Both players are. And Mensou's got about 1 to 2 turns left to position himself to win this game. That's about it. We're going to see if he can get those last 16 points in. But again, highly doubtful.
Yeah, I just don't see what he's gonna do against this. And I mean, this game is over, right?
I mean, it's over. It really just depends on when Akai wants to go off, and I'm assuming he can go off right now because a Flame Destroyer has been played. So now we just see the onslaught coming.
Yep. You want to just concede now?
Right.
Press the concede button.
I love being on the other side of these Flame Destroyers sometimes because you're just like, they don't have the other D shift, and then of course they do, and then you feel really bad. It's a bittersweet feeling, is what it is.
Well, that game went about as textbook as it could go.
Akai versus Mensou, and Mensou was also kind enough to give Akai the win, right? I mean, so many times when you see that D shift play out and there's 2 destroyers out on the field, you just shake your head and you know, watch it happen. But he even watched the second D shift pop, watched the turn pass, and then let the swing come in. But Dragon versus D shift Rune, especially when D shift draws that well, it seems real unstoppable. What do you think were the key things here for Mensou, or what do you think Mensou can get away with based on the decks that Akai has left, either Haven or Shadow? One of them is going to be banned, right? What do you think about his inclusion of things like Ouroboros? Do you think he should swap up his Dragoncraft deck? What are his choices here?
Well, realistically,
Sorry, go ahead, Exo.
Sorry about that. So Ouroboros, like I said, I was actually excited to see Ouroboros in the list because I've seen a lot of Dragon players take them out recently because of the loss of the life gain. I think what he was really planning on facing against were maybe lower or later in the game Haven decks, maybe even mirror matches with other Dragon decks, and not expecting to see a lot of the aggro decks that we've been seeing. So I think that the Dragon deck is actually poorly positioned against both Shadow and Haven at the moment, so he might be in trouble here.
And of course, due to the nature of Conquest, he's going to have to take a win from one of those decks, so we'll see how he plays in this next matchup coming up. But D-Shift continuing to demonstrate its strength. Here is what could be the final game here for Akai to move him on to the winners finals. Guys, kick it off.
Alright, so let's go ahead and get into these mulligans, take a look what both of these guys are going to get. So it looks like Mensou opted to remain with Dragon. I think, though, he has a, Mensou has a decent hand. Only problem is it's a hand against Haven. And Ayala, for the most part, almost just says add 1 black inscription to target opponent's hand. So
that does seem like the case. It also seems like Akai is actually running an aggressive Haven list. We see Dance of Death along with a March Hare's Tea Time, and now a Divine Birdsong. Very aggressive tempo-oriented Haven deck, which, again, is pretty well slated against Dragons. So these bans very much in the favor of Akai. Yeah,
definitely. Akai, as a avid Stormhaven player myself, which is this deck definitely is now that we see the Pinion Prayer, this deck is incredibly strong versus Dragon. So I'm not entirely sure what Mensou is going to be able to do when everything starts, going. But he doesn't necessarily have a bad hand either. He can ramp up if he wants to trade with the Ayala, or he could have opted to use his Blazing Breath, but he's opting to save that, which is just fine.
Yep, and I think one of the differences I've seen, I haven't seen a lot of Dragon players make this shift, but this is like last season where we used to see Wrath Drakes in there specifically for the Shadow matchup. So one thing that kind of confuses me about Mensou's band is he banned out Shadow while playing an anti-Shadow version of Dragon. So kind of putting himself on the back foot here, playing against two decks that Dragon doesn't really fare well against.
Right. I'm a little puzzled as to why he wouldn't have banned D-Shift. If I'm,
right.
you know,
yes.
just kind of being straightforward.
That's the big whoa.
Yeah, it's like, if you know you're playing Dragon and your opponent has D-Shift, why aren't you banning, you know, D-Shift? You have a better chance against Haven than you do against, you know, D-Shift Rune. So, yeah, I'm a little puzzled by the line of thinking.
However, though, Mensou does have a pretty good draw here. He's still at 20. He's got ways to clear the board next turn with the Wrathdrake. And then he can lead into a Polyphonic Roar or an Israfil into a Zeus. And I believe he's going to have enough time to get there. However, Akai does have Dance of Death for a Zeus or something big that he doesn't want to deal with. So we'll see.
Well, the Wrathdrake will certainly clear a part of this board. And I say part of it because Snow White's in play.
Yes.
And obviously he has to take the most damage off the board, so he'll have to evolve the Wrathdrake into the Tin Soldier.
Yeah, it's a must. Must do or else death.
Yeah, he has to do it, yeah. But there's plenty of pressure still remaining. That was ridiculous.
Wow. That is game, I believe. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Game. Yeah.
Yep.
Dance of Death to kill off that, and 10 soldiers to the face. Game is over. So
just like that.
Yeah. Mensou just have it. He's always, there.
So close, Mensou.
So it looks like Mensou will be defeated 2-0 and move down into the loser's bracket. Something that I'm noticing is, even though the previous meta was regarded as there were very strong aggressive lineups, we mostly saw control being played.